Welcome to Navigating Your 20s. I'm your host, Jess Hugo, and I am so excited to have you here. I'm an online personal trainer and nutritionist, but honestly, underneath it all, I am just a girl who is struggling, thriving, and surviving somehow all at once. So if this is you, you are not alone. If you want all the juicy tea on what it's like to be a girl navigating her 20s, I'm talking relationships, health, fitness, social life, work, and everything in between, then you're in the right place. Hello girlies, welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited to just have you here. New filming location unlocked. We've brought back the chair. I feel like I'm so random and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna sit in my bed, I'm gonna sit in my chair, but also that equally just proves the point that we don't need to follow any rules and you can just do whatever the fuck you want. Anyway, unrelated to today's episode, disclaimer. I do not want to go into this episode with the intentions of mum shaming or shaming, your guardian, whoever you grew up with, your sibling, like your friendships. Like, I really don't want this to come across in like a shaming way. Sorry, my laptop is moving around because we all know at the end of the day, like they mean well. They don't mean to come across this way and like they don't mean to get so caught up in all of the things, but a lot of us, like we're in our 20s, they grew up in that toxic diet culture as well in the 2000s period. We know they mean well. We know that they are still learning as well. I think that's something that, we all keep seeing and learning as we grow older. Our parents are also still learning and growing and evolving, and it's their first time living as well. So I just don't want you to go into thinking this, fuck, I hate my mom, my family's so toxic, like insert all the things. It's not about that. It's really just like figuring out that sometimes they're not the best to go to advice for, which is actually okay. And we actually have a responsibility as well to educate them back. So that's what I always like to do, and I'll get into it. But I like to kind of go against the grain and say to my mum, like, no, like that's so, don't do that. Like, don't be an almond mum, you know what I mean? So I just want to start off with that because I don't want you to come in and think I'm being a hater, okay? So when I think about skinny me, diet culture, our parents, like the 2000s, it's very much skipping meals, almond mum vibes, not eating over like 1,000 calories, overtraining, under eating, all of the things. And I think as well, they can really cast judgment. So a lot of us grew up with mums that would be like, surely you're not eating that. Or no, I'm not going to get like any snacks this week, like you guys need to eat the fruit, or no, we're not stopping at McDonald's, there's fruit at home. That's a very consistent one. And when they cast judgments, they kind of push us away in a sense where we can't be open and vulnerable with our food choices anymore. We then start sneakily taking chocolates. We then start like hiding packets of chips in our room. Like we're just being very intentional with being sneaky, and that causes shame around our food. And again, it's like we're not casting judgments here. It's a really open conversations of just such a fundamental aspect of our 20s, but we almost have to undo such pivotal moments from our childhood. And I remember as well, not to just give you a full example straight off the bat, but when I was younger, my mum had got a few of those like advent calendars after Christmas when you could actually get discount stuff back in the day before it all sold out, before Christmas even bloody happened. And she like popped them all and put all the chocolates in a Tupperware container, and she'd like hidden them away, which you guys already know. I don't know how I feel, but I'm like, why are we hiding food? I just think it's really odd. Like, this is, again, not shaming her. Don't be like, oh my God, her mum's so sweet. Why is she saying that? Yeah, she is sweet. But she also got stuck in this diet culture and you can pass that on, you know what I mean? So anyway, she had hidden this like Tupperware container of the chocolates, and I would sneak off and go eat like so many chocolates until my stomach felt sick. And I don't even think I even liked them that much. Like, think about the advent calendar chocolate, like it doesn't even taste good. It says Cadbury, but is it? I don't know. Anyway, and I would go and sneak it and eat it and literally give myself a sore stomach because I would just like consume the fuck out of that shit when it wasn't even good. And I think it was just like the fact that she had kind of like hid them away that I suddenly wanted them. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I've just like gone crazy on this at 12 years old or something like that, because it was like at my old house. So did not live here. I know I had to be under 12. But I was like a fiend for this chocky just because she'd hidden it away. And I feel like as well, these habits just kind of kept going. And I don't remember much of my mum in that era, like in terms of like what she looked like and what her food habits were like and things like that. But she will sometimes like tell me that she was eating like 1,000 calories a day. She was so skinny, quote unquote, and lean back then. And I was like, I don't remember, because obviously at 12 years old, I'm not like analyzing your body. But the fact that she was like doing all of those things, like she was trained. I remember actually my school was opposite a gym, and she would like drop me off at school and go to the gym every day. But like I just kind of saw that as like #health. Like I didn't actually know she was doing like full high intensity classes. And then something else I remember, which I may have mentioned on the podcast before, is that she had like a guy that she would buy protein powder off, and it smelled so nice. You know how protein powder smells so nice, and then you eat it and it's like, like it literally tastes terrible. I remember it was like such nice smelling vanilla, and she would see this guy and buy it off this guy, which is so rogue. Why didn't you just go into, I don't know, Nutrition Warehouse or something? Like, I don't know. But then again, I just thought like, you know, #health. I didn't think anything of it, but like reality is at the time she was eating so little and she was working out so much, and sure, she may have been quote unquote lean, skinny, all of the things. I again don't know, but she says she was, so I believe her. But was that optimal for her time? Why were we hiding chocolates? I don't even know. So like, hands up if you've been personally victimized by the prime time 2000s era, where they're literally like, let's do a little like flashback moment, okay? Like Skinny Me Teas, Special K, they had a drop a dress size challenge. They also like were marketed at the time, because back then there wasn't really the health aisle at Woolies. So it would be like there was, but there wasn't as what it is now. And so there would be not many cereals. Think about how even right now, like Fruit Loops and Cocoa Pops and things like that are like shamed, and then Special K and like Sultana brand and even like Wheat Bix are like on the hierarchy. So it was like that healthy like cereals, no carbs, like fad little diets. Magazines would like literally tarnish celebrities. They would be at the beach just chilling, looking great, just caught off guard, you know what I mean? And then they'd be like, Britney Spears has gained 25 kilos, and they would circle it on the front of the magazines. And that actually was happening up until, I want to say, literally like 2018, 2019, because when I worked at Kmart, I would work on the registers, and when you walk through the registers at Kmart and they have those like magazines there, those magazines would always be on display, and they would like circle them, and it would be like the scandal, and it was always ripping apart women for their weight. And that is what we grew up in. Like, oh my God, Britney Spears has gained 25 kilos. Look at her looking absolutely terrible, even though we actually took the photo from like a horrid side angle and did her so dirty while she was like leaning over to grab something. She's so fat, quote unquote. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? So like they kind of grew up in this era, and like the glorification of like the thigh gap, the glorification of like eating nothing, feeling dizzy, and like it can be really, really competitive. I was speaking recently to someone, and she was saying that one of her friends would be very competitive with her on who could get thinner, who could cut out the most food. And at the time, she like glamorized this girl and thought she was so amazing and gorgeous because she was skinny and had a thigh gap and all of the things. But like now that she can look at a different perspective, and we've been working together on, you know, her relationship with food and health and everything for almost a year. So it does take time to unravel, but she was like, I can now see that like that was so unhealthy, and we actually lost contact and we came back again. And then I was kind of like, oh, like, why did I glamorize this girl? And I was like, yeah, because it gets really competitive, and it's like almost like you're one-upping each other. Who can get skinnier? Who can get the most dizzy? Like, it's actually really fucked up. It still happens today, please don't get me wrong, but we're just really talking about that time. And I think our parents, especially our mums, thought they were really, really helping by pushing this perspective on us, but it actually did the opposite. And like the almond mum thing is like your whole cupboard would be like health foods, homemade like granola bars, protein powders, no to take away like Macca's, there's fruit at home, quote unquote. And even like almond mum kind of comes from like your mum literally eats like an almond, right? Or something like that, just something really little, like a little snack. And then she's like, oh, I'm stuffed, like I'm not going to eat till dinner. And it's like 10 a.m. And you're like, well, what? And again, I understand like they think that this is so positive and like you're going to lose weight from that. And I've been breaking down these walls with my girls as well, because I'll be like, oh, I won't eat from like lunch, I'll have lunch about midday and then I won't eat until dinner about 7, 8 p.m. And I'm like, your body, the reason you're so bloated, the reason that you have no energy, you're feeling so out of whack, brain fog, all of the things, isn't because of the food choices you're eating sometimes. It's because of the fact that you are waiting 8 hours until your next meal. You're going into starvation mode. You can't concentrate. Like, we really need to get out of this demonizing thoughts, because carbs give us brain power. Carbs are energy. Cutting out carbs can actually fuck up your whole digestive system. Not even to like mention that when we start cutting out carbs excessively, we can get backed up, bitch. I have a whole episode on bloating and all of the things, so go back and listen to it, because we're not here to talk about that, but you can really stuff things up a lot. And it's like, we already have so much like things to unlearn in terms of like seeing the magazines, seeing the cereals, seeing the challenges, that it's like it has an impact on us. And don't get me wrong, as I said, I do see it happening so much even nowadays. Like, I was recently at the shops and they were like, join our 8-week challenge, and I was like, why is like a major shopping center selling a challenge? Like, I'm so confused on what they're doing. Like, it just doesn't even make sense. But I guess as well, like, think about who owns the center. Probably someone our parents' age who grew up with guilt around food, who grew up really normalizing being skinny, body checking, having food rules, like what's good, what's bad, like starting over, fearing carbs, like running on literally empty. I am pretty like happy and glad and lucky that when I was at school, I wasn't really surrounded by girls that were really obsessed with their body. At least I don't think I realized if they did. So I didn't actually pick up on a lot of things, but I did obviously go the other way where I was like emotional eating, overeating, gained 20 fucking kilos so quickly just because I didn't have any idea around food, period. I didn't know what was good, what was bad. As I said, I grew up like just wanting things because they were hidden away, and I feel like I really lacked that understanding around it. I really I honestly think schools need to teach more about the nutrition standards, because there's a gap. There is a gap of a whole age in our 20s age group that doesn't actually know the nutrition standards. For me, obviously it's my job, and you know when something's your job and you think like people just know, that was like kind of me yesterday. And then one of my girls was like, I don't like, because I was like, how many serves of fruit do you have a day? How many serves of veg do you have? Do you know how many you should have? And she's like, no. And I was like, no shame. That's fine. Like, but we should have learnt that at school. I remember when we were really, really young and we were learning like the quarters and where they would have like the different groups between the proteins and the carbs and the fats. And I do remember that, but they didn't, first of all, we were so young at the time, but they didn't actually keep that up. They should have been teaching us more about that in high school when we're very vulnerable and learning more. And I feel like we're very blessed that TikTok wasn't even a thing if you're in your like mid to late 20s. TikTok wasn't even a thing when we were in school, and there wasn't as much access. Of course, there was Instagram and like different things, but there wasn't as much access to things where we didn't feel like we were constantly consumed. Whereas I can scroll TikTok, and thank God I'm like educated enough in this area. Obviously, again, it's my job, so no shame to you if you don't know, but thank God I'm educated enough, because I go through my feed and people are saying the most toxic, wild things to lose weight. My partner actually told me, outing this person, that someone from his work, a co-worker, has started like a water cleanse. And I was like, is that a thing? Like, my partner was like, oh, guess what X at work is doing? And then I was like, oh, keto, like just thinking of the most ridiculous things. And he was like, no, a water cleanse. And I was like, I've heard of a juice cleanse. Again, I'm not about it, but I've heard of a juice cleanse. I've never heard of a water cleanse. And I'm like, what is this? Again, that's the age group. This person is like older, a parent. I'm like, oh my actual God, like water. Imagine only having water for 3 days. 3 days straight. That, like, I'm actually not surprised, because if you're a long time listener, not that long ago, I actually called out a local gym to me for encouraging all their clientele to do a water cleanse for weight loss. Yeah, I called them out. And then they called DM to me to try to sign up with them. Tell me you did not look at my profile without telling me. I obviously didn't tag them, but I said like local gym to me that I have not taken clients from, because like that's the wrong word. I haven't poached them, but I've had clients come to me who have gone to them or inquired with them and been like, that was fucked up, and they weren't the problem. They've literally been training with me for like 1 year plus. The other gym was a problem. Like a water fast, get out of town. Anyway, I'm getting off subject, but
essentially it's like the whole ideology of like the subtle things that we absorbed. I shouldn't eat that. That food's bad. Like being able to label the foods. I need to burn this off. I can't wear this outfit tonight unless I skip all my meals. Like I need to skip breakfast to look so skinny and like flat stomach for this tight dress tonight. Just all those things. And it's also like, when I was your age, I was stick thin. When I was your age, I was so healthy. When I was in my 20s, I was so like this and that. And it's like, why are you reminding us? Why are you comparing us? Why? Because that's like can be really subtly toxic. And it's like, remember the lemon water? Sorry to go sidetrack, but remember like when everyone would start their morning with like lemon water? Ugh. I never did that, thank God. But the apple cider vinegar, like there's just so many layers to unlock. I feel like you're probably even listening to this, like fuck, she hasn't even said something I've done. There's so many different things. I can't even name them all. But if we do like a little bit of a flashback moment, like they were victims of the culture of like Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, the slimming shakes. They have like the lady shakes now, but they were all a thing back then too. Even I remember growing up, again, I was under 12. I was like 8 to 10 when The Biggest Loser was so in, and I was like, this is the best show ever. I was watching it live all the time thinking it was like great. And then nowadays obviously we can reflect, and obviously with the recent documentary, which I know was for America but still is like, whoa, like the fact that we're finding out that the trainers were not letting them eat absolutely anything, that were making them train so often, that weren't actually optimizing and prioritizing their health. Like they weren't actually even getting enough sleep. And a lot of them are coming out, the NDA must be up, but what is it? The contract must be up. A lot of them are coming out now and talking about the crazy conditions. And we all know how important it is to approach weight loss with a optimal outlook. Well, we all know if we listen to the podcast regularly, you know that it's not just being in a deficit, it's getting enough sleep, having a workout program that works with your schedule, prioritizing your mental health, actually doing things to fill up your cup. So it's like trying to let go of these things that we've learned and start all fresh. And sometimes it can feel wrong because that's not what we learned. You know what I mean? Like my mom's saying, oh, you need 1,200 calories to lose weight. You're eating too much. I'm like, I'm not eating too much. Like you ate too little. You know what I mean? It's like trying to break that cycle of like, no, actually carbs keep me healthy and energized, and they don't give me, like they help me battle with my brain fog, and I can actually focus at work because I've had a really balanced meal with a good amount of carbs. Like it's all these thoughts and patterns that we really, really need to unlearn, and the rigid rules around it all. And it's like, this is why I always like talk to my girls about, if you're going to eat out on the weekend and you might go over your cows, I'm actually fine with that. Just put that energy into your session on Monday. Sometimes actually like a few weeks ago, I went out and I had pasta and pizza and all these things on the weekend. I was away, so I wasn't at home, so I didn't have my gym. And obviously I don't have a membership. Not that it matters. I probably wouldn't have trained anyway. But then when I came home for Monday, I hit so many PBs in my session because I didn't give myself shame and guilt around what I ate that day. I went back to regular routine Monday, and I really had that extra energy there to push. And it's like reworking our brain from, oh, I ate so bad, I'm going to eat nothing the next day, to no, I'm just going to go back on track. I'm going to push really hard and use those extra calories in my session. And I have to catch my girls on it all the time. Literally yesterday, one of my girls, I was like, what did you eat before this? Because like I can see you're fatiguing right now. Like you are not giving energy. You're breaking off so quickly. Like what's going on? And she's like telling me the things she's eaten. I'm like, that's not enough. You need to eat more. And then she was like, but I don't want to, like, I want to be skinny. Like I don't want to be fat. And I was like, if you were eating more, too stunned to speak. The woman, if you're not watching the video, I was like taken back, too stunned to speak. I was like, if you want to push in this session, you need to eat more. We're all like, oh, I need to burn the cows. Well, you're not giving any energy to burn any of those cows anyway. I was like, we'd be pushing harder, building your muscle, because we'd be going heavier, making you more toned. And when you have more muscle, you burn more cows, which means you need more food to fuel. So I was like, you're not eating enough. I've called her out in the last 3 sessions about it. I was like, you are not eating enough. And I've seen it week after week after week. This week, she says to me, I don't want to get fat. You're not going to get fat. I was big mad at her because I was like, girl, that is really, really not, we're not happening. And right now in our 20s, whether you're someone that wants to have kids or not, it is our responsibility to start healing our relationship with food so that we don't pass on the toxic behaviors to our future niece, nephew, kids, whoever, because that's how the cycle continues. Like it's actually our responsibility to break the cycle. And it's something I want you to take away from this, because I love doing a little takeaway moment, is like, what food rules did I actually inherit from my mum, society, my friends, wherever I was, my environments, that actually no longer serve me? What is something that I've taken so long with me, whether it's I can't have carbs after 8 p.m, I can't eat after 8 p.m, I can only have a couple of carbs in a meal. Like, what is something that you've taken from your childhood and dragged through all this time and punished yourself with that don't serve you anymore? I want you to write it down. I want you to rip out the page, and I want you to fucking scrunch it up and throw it away and let it go. And I know it's not just a one and done. It's like a actively working on thing, but we don't want to keep this cycle alive. It's our responsibility to break the cycle and nourish our relationship with food. Think about, not that, again, this is not shaming, not that your mom ruined your life, but if you feel like you have grown up in a way that your relationship with food has been really, really tarnished, you don't want that for your future children, your future nieces and nephews, whether you want to have kids or not. It's really important to consider. So I hope you guys enjoyed a different angle today. If you loved the podcast, rate it 5 stars, follow me on Spotify and YouTube, and I'll see you in the next one. That's a wrap on another episode of Navigating Your 20s. Thank you so much for joining me and taking the time to listen. If you enjoyed the conversation, vibes, and got something out of today, please feel free to send me a DM with any key takeaways and feedback, or share on your socials and tag me so we can connect. If you liked today's episode and you're wanting more from me, you can find me on all socials at success.withjess.